As was promised, we'll do some ahkam first before we get into the lecture. So there's two things we'll talk about today. Number one, if people ask about before Fajr time, when they have their sahri and they want to brush their teeth, they brush their teeth, right? So there's an aftertaste that's left in the mouth because of the expensive toothpaste that they use. So the question is this a problem or not? Well, aftertaste, if it's really aftertaste, that means that there's nothing there but a taste, then that's perfectly fine, right? Right now, our mouths probably taste like something very bad, but that's okay. After brushing our teeth, if a good taste is left in the mouth, that's fine too, as long as nothing is being swallowed. Now sometimes a taste is in the mouth because there's something actually in the mouth. There's some toothpaste in the mouth. If that's the case, then no, you can't. You have to get rid of that. You have to, excuse me, but spit it out, and you can't swallow it. So if there's something in the mouth left after Fajr time, you have to get rid of it. But just taste being in the mouth is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong about taste, just taste. Sometimes you can tell it's Fajr time has arrived by how much people are spitting into the sink. If you pass by a house and you hear spitting noises, getting rid of everything that's in the mouth, and like the internal organs of the mouth are even being spat out. It's not necessary. That's not. It's not wajib to get rid of the inside of your mouth. Okay, that's not necessary. As long as you know that there's no toothpaste in your mouth, aftertaste is perfectly fine. That's one point. Another point that we have it's a common misunderstanding I've noticed is that some people believe that it's makruh. Yes, it's makruh to use good scents, right? Perfume or cologne or oils or whatever you have. People, sometimes I've seen them, they say this. But when you look into the Risala Amaliyah of the Maraji', they've explained that what is makruh is to smell these herbs and plants that have smell, or flowers maybe. That's what's makruh. For you to smell these plants and herbs, to sniff those. Now some have mistaken this with applying good scent to them. As a matter of fact, we have hadith. The Imam, he says that this tib, or this good scent or fragrance that one uses, is tuhfatus sa'im. Is the tuhfa of the sa'im. We know what tuhfa means, right? It's like the gift of the sa'im, of the person fasting. So, as a matter of fact, it's the opposite. It's mustahab. I remember years ago, I think I asked this to make sure, that it's mustahab to use atar, or itar, or these fragrances. It's mustahab. What's makruh is to smell plants that have a fragrance to them or have a scent to them. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ala ahli baytihi at-tayyibin al-tahirin. So where did we get to? Yesterday, talked about how if there is any potential, Allah wants to fulfill it. Allah wants that potential to be actualized. Whether it's a stone, whether it's a tree, whether it's an animal, whether it's a human being, it doesn't matter. Their completion in their creation, if there is a potential for it, He will push them in that direction. And this has nothing to do with man's free will, animals' free will, plants' free will, nothing. This is only Allah. He does it no matter what. That's why we said that a kid, whether he likes it or not, will grow up. Will grow older and older. A tree, whether it likes it or not, when it sprouts out of the ground, it will grow into a tree. A baby elephant will turn into an adult elephant, and so on and so forth. There's no way out of it. These potentials have to be fulfilled. Man, because of a certain blessing that Allah has given him, has another potential that has to be fulfilled. Okay? But this potential is only fulfilled through man's own free will and his choice. And this is what the verse was talking about yesterday. إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. We guide man whether he can be grateful and take it or not take it, this guidance. Yesterday I also explained that we have two types of guidance. That guidance that we all have, that we share with all creatures and things, that guidance is called hidayah takwiniya, we said yesterday. It has to do with our creation, the guidance that Allah provides when it comes to creation. And we have verses about that I recited yesterday. But this potential that man only has, which is to go higher than the angels, to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is something that can only be actualized through his free will. And that is what sets man apart from all of other creation and creatures. And this needs a specific type of guidance, which is called hidayah tashri'iyya. It has to do with God telling us, do this, don't do that. It's legislative, they call it. It has to do with do's and don'ts. Animals don't have this. Animals don't have do's and don'ts. Animals, yes, they can go wherever they like and do whatever they want to do, but they go by whatever their instinct tells them. It doesn't matter. If this animal is dying right now, it will kill its own child and have it for lunch so that it survives, because the instinct tells it to do that. Yes? Of course, some animals a little bit less, some animals a little bit more, but at the end of the day, animals go by instinct. They can't go against their instinct in this sense. Very exceptional cases you'll have that they'll go against it. Okay, so if the difference between us and animals is that free will, if man does not go against his instinct, what does that mean? When man does not go against his instinct, because we are also a form of animals, they say we are mammals, that means that we have distance from that potential and actualization of that potential, and we're moving towards what? We're moving towards animals. We are moving away from that potential Allah has given us. What are we becoming now? We're becoming more animal than human being. It's very simple. Allah gave us something so that we fulfill it. We're not fulfilling it. So that means, what's the difference between me and Mr. Cow? As a matter of fact, the Quran puts its finger on this point. And it says that those who don't fulfill this potential, أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ, they're like cattle. بَلْ أَضَلُّ سَبِيلًا, بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ, excuse me. Rather, they are more lost than cattle. Mr. Cow over here is doing better than Mr. John over here. Why? Mr. X, whatever. Why? Because that poor cow doesn't even have the potential to become human. But Mr. X over here has the potential, isn't fulfilling it. Allah in the Quran is saying they're worse than cattle. Now some people here, when they hear these verses, they say, oh, why is God talking like this? You know, this is disrespectful to people, this is disrespectful, this is not how a God should talk. No, Allah's not trying to make fun of anybody, mock anybody. Allah is saying this is the essence. This is their essence. Or like the verse in the Quran that says, the ones who carry books and carry ilm and knowledge but don't act on it, they're like donkeys that are carrying a load. It's not like God is trying to make fun of people and say, oh, you're donkeys. Back then, what was used for transportation? Donkeys, camels, stuff like that. So maybe in today's terms, if you're going to translate this verse, for example, maybe you could say that those who don't act upon their knowledge are like trucks and cars that are just transferring knowledge here and there. It's not like Allah is trying to mock. Allah is unveiling a reality here, letting us know. So the more we move towards this humanity, we're fulfilling that potential, we're becoming more human. And the opposite holds. The more we distance from it, we're becoming more animal. There's nothing bad about that. You're taking over the animal side of you, is taking over. What's wrong with saying that? Alright. Now, here some people go a little too far. They say, okay, We're supposed to move in that direction, right? So they neglect the animal side of man. This is also a problem. And we've had this from the Prophet's time till today. The super religious people on the other side, where they will go so far that they will neglect. They'll have the whole concept of celibacy, for example. They won't eat when they're supposed to eat. They won't drink when they're supposed to drink. They'll isolate themselves from society. They'll go live in the mountains. The Prophet says, I marry. The Prophet says, I eat and drink. I go to the bazaar. I go to the market, just like everyone else. That's the point. To fulfill your potential, you're supposed to be here. That's where the test is. The deen of Islam is not a deen that says go and neglect all of these things. No, we have two sides to us. Allah has acknowledged this in the Quran. And if we are half animal, we take care of that side too. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is when Allah gives us a program for this side of us, when we don't go by it. If you don't go by the program, that means you're going with with whatever your instincts are telling you. That means animal. If we go by the program Allah has put before us, that means we're fulfilling that human side of us. That means we're going against our instincts sometimes when we're supposed to go against it. That's the human side. You get it? So everything we have here, the desires we have, Allah says go for it, but there's limits. That's all. Your instinct will tell you, okay, right now it's been about 15, 16 hours, I haven't eaten. Instinct constantly is telling you eat, eat, eat. But here the aql and the heart says no, you're not allowed to eat. Which one am I going to go with? Can animals fast? Those of us who believe in evolution. Do animals fast? No, they'll go, if food is in front of them, they'll take it if they want it. That's where our difference is. That's where the line is drawn. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how the more complete in creation one is, the more independent they become. We want to talk about this a little bit in light of what we're talking about right now. The more brothers and sisters we grow, the freer we are getting. We need to explain this a little bit. What does it mean to get free? Because apparently this program that Allah has put before us and made incumbent upon us, this program is one that ties our hands. Yeah? It's tying our hands. So where's this freedom that you are talking about, the Quran is talking about, that the Imams are talking about? It goes like this. The more you go by what Allah wants, you reach Kamal al-Inqita'i ilayk, inshaAllah, that we have in Munajat Sha'baniyya, right? That it says, oh Allah, I want the utmost disconnection from everything to you. That means you're the only one I'm dependent on. So we have a dependence here, and it's Allah. So what does independence mean? The more we go by what Allah wants, the more independence we find. The ulama will explain to you. What happens is slowly we grow. Slowly we become more human. The more human you become, the more you understand that Allah is everything, everything else is nothing. Before that, what do? I depend on this person, that thing, that action, all of that for my comfort, for my felicity, for my everything. But the more I become human, the more this aql completes, that we have in hadith that when Imam Zaman alayhi salam returns, he will stroke the heads of the people and the uqul will complete. They explain that what this means. Not that Imam Zaman alayhi salam is going to actually physically stroke all of us. That'll take a long time. But that's a time when the intellects complete to the extent that they see Tawheed for what it really is, or a good case of it at least, even if they don't reach 100% Tawheed. That means they'll slowly understand that Allah is everything. Wow. To the extent, now here you'll laugh at me, but it's okay. To the extent that people will understand that when you drink water, it's not water that's quenching my thirst. It's Allah that's quenching my thirst. SubhanAllah. It's very deep. It's very deep. These are things that happen in the barzakh, Yawm al-Qiyamah, in the zuhur of Imam Sahib al-Zaman. These are things that happen then. But there are some who, through fulfilling that potential and becoming humans for the real meaning of the word, they reach it even before Dhuhr of the Imam. I'll give you an example. And it's deep, something to think about. Allama Tabatabai rahmatullah alayhi. Have you noticed I've been mentioning his name almost every day? These are names we remember. Nowadays they're trying to separate, especially our youth, from these greats. And then say that, yeah, these greats were academics like every other academic. No, brother. They're not like every other academic. Which professor in the university, next to his studying and studies and his profession, which of these professors do you see that he spends most of his time doing tahdib and nafs and refining the soul so he can gain knowledge? It's a difference. When you read his book of Al-Mizan, you feel like there was a wire connected between him and the heavens when he's writing this. I'm not saying he's ma'soom. Personally, sometimes I'll have a difference of opinion, although I'm a nothing, I'm insignificant, I'm nothing. But I will have a slight difference of opinion. It's not like he's ma'soom. But when you read this book, you feel like there was a connection. Ilm ladunni, they get a little share of it because of the tahdib they do, because of the refinement they do. And then what they're trying to do nowadays is separate. They say, listen, he's an academic like everyone else. Tabatabai says this. Please watch how the way you talk. This is not like my uncle or cousin that you're talking about. You show respect. There is an oral tradition in these circles of knowledge, in these houses, that is passed on. There is an environment that you grow up in, you breathe it. This humility. How these students would sit in front of their ustad, but nowadays, after this postmodern era, no, everything comes from the books, that's it. No, that's not how it works. Anyway. They say back during the Saddam-Iran war, I love this story, by the way. There was lights out every now and then. When the bombers would come over the city, in Qom, Tehran, whatever, the lights would all go out, pitch black, so that they would have a hard time identifying exactly what their targets are when they want to strike these bombers that would fly over Iran. So Alam Tatai, he's in the streets and alleys of Qom, and then there's lights out. Now he's walking with someone else. This is a famous story. Lights go out, everything is dark. The person that's accompanying Allama Tabatabai, they say that he was watching out so that Allama doesn't fall into one of these ditches or one of these potholes, or doesn't bump anywhere, don't bump his head anywhere. So he's watching out for him, which that's what he's supposed to do. But Allama Tabatabai, he turns and says something interesting here that we need to think about. And this is a rank that you have. You can't just say it. I can't say it. I can't go out and start talking about these things. I can't go out and just leave the doors of my house open and say these things and say Allah will take care of everything. This is a rank you have to reach. You can't act. Okay, what does Allama Tabatabai say? He says in the daytime, when there is light, he tells this guy, do you think that it's the light that's holding us from falling and protecting us? Or is it him that's protecting us? That same him is protecting me at night. Don't worry about it. I'm seeing where I'm going. Now this is something that he can say. For me, it's different. For me, what do I have to say? I have to say God has created a world of cause and effect. Cause, light. Effect, me seeing things so I don't fall. Cause, darkness. Effect, I might fall. Better be careful. For me, that's what it is. But for these individuals, when they reach higher levels, when they say these things, they've experienced it before. You see it in their eyes. You see it in their look, with the way they look at Imam Khomeini. You can see it in them. This is what independence is. It means I don't need anything. Water doesn't even quench my thirst. Allah quenches my thirst. The water is an excuse for Him to quench my thirst. SubhanAllah. So is this not motivation for us to try to work a little harder towards humanity, insaniya, and fulfilling that potential that Allah has given us? I don't know. Sounds like it would be. But try explaining this to the materialists today. That Islam is here for your freedom, so start limiting yourself in everything. They'll say that's an oxymoron, that's paradoxical. If Islam came for freedom, that means that you can do whatever you want, the way you want it, whenever you want it. Right? And today, advertisements, you see it. Just do it, for example. Just do it. Don't think, just do it. Don't worry about it. No, as a matter of fact, wait, don't just do it. Wait a minute, ponder. Does it go against Allah or does it not go against Allah? What are you talking about? Freedom, freedom. What freedom? Islam is all about. What does Islam even mean? Sallama taslim or aslama means submission. Submission to someone else, right? What freedom? Yes. But in these 2 days of this dunya, yeah, you take away that freedom, but the stuff you get is all independence. There's 2 days of this dunya. Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, they say that the angel of death came to him. O Prophet of Allah, the time has come. It's time to go. He said, now? That was quick. Not that he doesn't want to go. He's surprised that it passed so quick. Now how many years has Prophet Nuh lived? The Quran says he was on the minbar for 950 years. He was doing tabligh for 950 years. That doesn't mean that he lived for 950 years, maybe more than that. He was on the minbar, let's say, for 950 years. Right? Alright. So he might have lived for 1,000 years, those of you who want to round it up. Or maybe more. He's surprised that the angel of death is saying now's the time to go. The angel of death tells him, what will you say about the people of Akhir al-Zaman, in the end of times? When they live, I don't know, 70, 80, 100 years, what about them? And then what does Prophet Nuh say? Talking about us apparently. I don't think I'm going to last that long. Prophet Nuh says, if my life was going to be that long, I would end it in one sajda. That's very short. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, I would end it in one sajda. That's how short it is. Freedom, yeah, freedom. Let's just say it's restriction in this life. But then you have eternity after it of freedom. But not only that, this is the point I'm trying to make. Even those in this life who reach this level, they have become free of all of these shackles. They walk, all they see is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa. Which brings us to the next verse, verse 4. We have prepared for the kuffar chains and shackles and a fire. Okay, you look at this verse, what do you understand from it? Punishment, right? Which, of course, that is what it is at face value, and I'm not saying that's not what it is. Personally, I am one of those who says you go by the surface meaning of the Quran, and I can't take it, and I can't stand it when we have these esoteric, profound tafsirs of verses in a way that people forget the surface meaning altogether, and they just go for the other meaning. No, 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 no. The meanings have to be in line with each other. You can't neglect the surface meaning and just go for the inner esoteric meaning if it has one. Yes? Some people neglect that. وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Worship your Lord until you gain yaqeen. I have gained yaqeen, so I don't need to worship with these forms of worship, salat and fasting anymore. No, 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 no. You can't interpret the verse in a way that it goes against the surface meaning of it. Well, there's a lot to say here. I don't want to get into that. That's something else. Okay. So shackles and fire and punishment, all of this holds because of this verse. Of course, here we have to explain what kuffar means. I'm going to say this. I'm not going to explain it. Let me just open this parenthesis here. Kuffar doesn't always mean anyone who's not Muslim. All non-Muslims are going to hellfire. Doesn't mean that necessarily. And I'm not saying this. The greats have said this. Parentheses closed. There's conditions for all of these punishments to actually happen. Parentheses closed. But if the path of God and humanity and being a human being, brothers and sisters, is a path of freedom, what's the opposite of it? Which is kufr. And moving towards the animal side. What's the opposite of freedom? Imprisonment and dependence. Yes? Imprisonment comes with what? Shackles and punishment and fire and all that kind of stuff. You see how it all clicks? What we got from the previous verses was freedom we get out of all of this. That means the opposite is going to be something that's opposite to freedom. And therefore you have the verse, it's saying, chains, shackles, and fire. So now let's do a little esoteric meaning here. Let's look at the esoteric meaning. Now, if Shaykh Mutahari had not said this, I wouldn't say it. But yeah, these shackles and punishment, all of that in the Day of Judgment, they are there. But there's also that esoteric form of it, which is in this life. And that is the opposite of tawheed. That you see others, that's all. Water is quenching my thirst. Every single thing, every single step you take is going to be a shackle for you. Why? You don't have tawheed, the true form of tawheed, and you're not moving towards it. You think from here, for me to get from here to there, step 1, step 2, step 3 that I take to get there. Each of these steps is shirk. And a shackle. But not bad. It's not haram, brothers and sisters. But I'm saying this is what we were created for, to reach such a point. Man was created to reach this point where when he takes steps, even this is Allah, this is Allah, this is Allah. I'm drinking water, this is Allah. Everything is Allah. Every effect that happens is Allah, Allah. They say some people in Najaf, back in the day, they would pull their cloaks over their heads and just sit there and look around. And when people would ask, like, what is this all about? Others who knew what these people were all about, they would say, these people have reached tawheed in a way that they just see Allah, that's it. What does that mean? I have no idea. And I don't want to act like I know what I'm talking about. But they had reached a point where they're just seeing everything as Allah. Wow. God knows how much pleasure they're taking. Some people reach such a point. So if that's freedom, this is shackles. That's why the verse of the Quran says, وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ بِاللَّهِ إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ or yushrikun. I have a bad memory, I forget the words. That even believers, there is not one of them. وَلَا يُؤْمِنُ or وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ. أكثرهم, most of them don't believe in Allah except that they're also mushrik. What is this? This is called shirk khafi. This is called hidden shirk. A shirk that, is not the one that, the polytheists had, but at the same time, it's those who, I feel that this person is going to solve my problem. That medicine is what cures me. No. The medicine we have to take, but the cure with it is within. And so on and so forth. Every single cause, the effect is not for that cause. That effect is actually for Allah. But we're all shackled by these things, by these misunderstandings, by this shirk khafi. Oh man, so what do? We're so bad, we're so evil. No, you're not evil. Allah knows that. And He doesn't want that from us. What does He want from us is to move in that direction. That's what we have to move towards. This is all motivation. Okay. And then in the verse it says, أَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ. We have prepared for them these things, these shackles and all of that. There's one little point here that also has to be mentioned. Is that we try to make Allah, some people sometimes will get a misunderstanding that Allah, all He's after is to punish. It's like He's made all these different forms of punishment and shackles and the hellfire. He's made all of it. He's like sitting there, he's like, man, I hope I can send some people in here, so that, like someone uses these, like, let's think about it, like right now, all the wars in the world, why are they happening? Because of all these, what's it called? Firearm developers and all that. They want to sell their stuff, right? All these people are making weapons and all these planes and bombers and all that. If people don't go to war, who's going to use these? One of the reasons why we have all these wars is because of these people. Is Allah like this? He wants to make sure He can sell His stuff. The hellfire, I made it. No one's in there. Oh my God, you gotta send somebody in there. You don't look that good. Go in there. No, that's not the case. When you put all of the verses of the Quran together, for example, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. When you put these verses next to these verses, they interpret them for you. What does فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ mean? Whoever does a good act, what happens? They will see the reward of it, or they will see it. Huh? Will you see the reward of your actions, or the action itself you'll see there? فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. We'll see that action. Allah is just letting us know, listen, there is a direct link between what you do here and what you see there. It's the same thing, just in a different matrix. That sounds cool, doesn't it? It's just another dimension, but it's the same thing. While you're doing it, it's forming over there. So, if I am getting shackled and fire and all that kind of stuff, is Allah doing that to me? Or did Allah let me know that there's a direct link between what you do and what you see there? You just didn't have enough respect for yourself. Now you have to carry the burden of what you set for yourself there. So when it says, Inna a'tadna lil kafirin, we have prepared for them these things, it's not like Allah's waiting to use these things. No. Allah is saying, listen, it's there, your choice. Whatever you choose, how much you respect yourself. Allah has done the warning for us. Alright, let's move on to verse number 5 now. إِنَّ الْأَبْرَارِ يَشْرَبُونَ. Yes, the righteous ones are drinking. Well, you're righteous ones, but you're not drinking because you're fasting. But let me just tell you that this fasting in that other matrix, in that other dimension, in the barzakhi form of things, this fasting is drinking itself. We'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah, so all of you have broken your fast. The virtuous ones will drink from a cup containing kafur, camphor, which I'll explain. The virtuous ones will drink from a cup containing kafura, camphor. Now when you look at the translation, it says they drink from a cup containing camphor. It's as if there's a cup full of camphor and you drink it. That's not a good translation. Because it says kana mizajuha kafura. There's a mix, there's a pinch of camphor in there. I'll explain what that means, what is meant by it. But before that, for the younger ones that are now listening, alhamdulillah, they're not playing around that much. Camphor, someone will be like, camphor? What's camphor? I just know Kit Kat. I don't want camphor. Who wants camphor? If anyone wants to eat camphor, like, they should go get themselves checked. If we have any doctors after iftar, please check them out. Who's going to want camphor? Some people ask this. I don't like camphor. Alright, well, what do you like? I like some other things. Okay, fine. When it says camphor, is there Kit Kat back then during the Prophet's time? We're going to give you Kit Kat. I'm just using this as an example. Maybe some of you are allergic to it. I don't know. It's metaphorical. Usually these verses, it's not that this is it and nothing but this. It's not like when you pass away, Allah says, alright, the same way in this life, the mommy says, broccoli is good for you, you have to have it. It's not like on the other side, Allah says, alright, now you're in Jannah. You have to have camphor and honey and milk. Is that what it is? What if someone doesn't like it? What's for sure it is that even if it's going to be camphor, it's going to be something that you will die for. Guys, come on. We got to get this straight. Because I was young too one day. Well, I'm still young, as I've said every day. But I would get upset. Like, why? Why? I don't want this stuff. It's like broccoli. Oh, that's not how it works. Either that will be in a way that you will like it, and you'll be like, what was Kit Kat, man? Or they'll give you whatever you want. So don't be disheartened. But before talking a little bit more about this camphor, let's talk about the abrar, because the verse begins with Innal abrar yashrabuna min ka'as kana mizajuha kafura. The abrar. What is abrar? Abrar is the plural of bar. So we have a bir and we have a bar. What's the difference between these two? Bir means to do good deeds, good actions, good stuff like that. Bar is a person who does that. Okay? For example, we have in the Quran, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he says about himself that my Lord made me bar to my mother. That means he made me righteous to my mother. I do good things for her. Alright. But they also explain that abrar, a person who does bir, is a person, and then when you call them bar, is a person who does something without asking for anything in return. Doesn't gain any benefit from this good act that they do. We're getting closer to the Ahlul Bayt. I want you to remember this. and the story of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam and Ali alayhi salam. They don't want anything in return and they're not benefiting. So someone might ask, well, when someone does something good, they'll get something in the hereafter, so they're benefiting. No, what is meant here is worldly benefits. Worldly interests and rewards. Okay. But there is one point here that I have to make before we move on, and I'll probably end with this point. And that is that the verse says those who are abrar, and that means those who do good deeds and don't ask for anything in return and all that kind of stuff, they get these rewards. Okay. Sometimes, once again, when a mistake is made that we take one verse and we forget about the entire Quran. We have to put verses together, and that's what the job of the ulama is. Their research into the Quran so that we don't make mistakes like this. Here, a mistake sometimes that is made is that they'll tell you, some people will think and say that as long as you're good and you're doing good things, that's enough. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim or not. It doesn't matter if you're sinning also or not. Be a good person though. Now a person might be sinning like privately, whatever, but they're good to others, they do good things, they adopt the light bulb and all that kind of stuff. Is this the case in the Quranic culture and in the Quranic narrative? Is this the case or not? Very simply said, no, it's not the case. Now, before I go on though, let me just say this, that just because a person is not Muslim, or just because a person sins and they also do good deeds, that means they're not going to go to heaven. That's another story once again. I'm not talking about that right now. That is in Allah's hands. God knows what's going to happen Yawm al-Qiyamah. God knows the mercy of Allah is going to manifest there. We have no idea how it works. SubhanAllah. I mean, it won't even get to Allah. There's so much to say here. I mean, it won't even get to the Imams and the Prophet yet, the Shafa of them. I mean, look at this. I don't know who it was. I think it was Shaykh Abbas al-Qummi, the writer, the author of Mafatih al-Janan. Yes, I'm pretty sure it was him. He dreamed, in his dream he sees Al-Mirza al-Qummi, which is one of the huge ulama of maybe, I don't know how many hundreds of years ago, who's buried in Qum. Those of you who've been there, that small graveyard outside of the haram, it's called Shaykhun. Two little domes are there. One of them is his grave, Mirza al-Qummi. It was great. He sees, Shaykh Abbas Qummi sees him in his dream. He asks Mirza al-Qummi. Now, once again, my memory is not that good, but you'll get the gist of it. That, will Fatimatul Ma'suma Lady Fatimatul Ma'suma in Qum, do shafa'ah for the people of Qum on Yawm al-Qiyamah? Mirza al-Qummi says, what are you talking about? I will do shafa'ah for all the people of Qum. Fatimatul Ma'suma will do shafa'ah for all of the Shia. SubhanAllah, the sister of Imam al-Rida alayhi salatu wassalam. The mercy of Allah. But this is Fatimatul Ma'suma, who's not one of the 14 formal Ma'sumin. Of course, she's Ma'sum when it comes to the haram and wajib of Allah, of course. But she's not one of those official 14 Ma'sumin. This is her shafa'ah. Let alone the Ahlul Bayt, let alone the Prophet, let alone Allah. Oof, don't talk about it. When it comes to these things, Allah is the judge. And what is for sure is that it'll be a lot better than lots of people think. But when it comes to us defining deen and determining the tracks within which deen moves, we're not allowed to be easygoing and compromise and all of that. We say that Allah's mercy is there, but at the same time, this is what the Quran is saying. Yes, those who the Quran never reached, those who thought that the Quran is a book of evil, I don't know, whatever, for whatever reason they didn't go towards it, their hisab, their reckoning is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah says, tell the people the true path, so that those people who do see it, they can choose between imma shakiran or imma kafura. When it comes to deen, we are not allowed to act all butterfly and be all happy and all inclusive. We're not allowed to. This is how it is. How is it when it comes to good deeds? Is it just if you do good deeds you're abrar, or no? There's conditions. Brothers and sisters, at least two major conditions in the Quran we have. Number one, Iman. Iman. So if someone knows that Islam is the true path, knows, but doesn't embrace it, okay? Knows, purposely, knowingly though, doesn't embrace the truth, and then he does all the good deeds that he wants to do. Will that help him in the day of judgment? No. According to this, no. But all these people that have done good deeds, I said, listen, leave them on the side. Lots of them, the truth didn't reach. We're talking about a person that the truth has reached. He knows it's the truth, but still turns away from it. What verses do we have? We have three verses I have here. مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ. Woman and man, whoever does good deeds will get their reward. وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ, while he's a mu'min. They have to be mu'min. 1. 2. أُولَٰئِكَ لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا فَأَحْبَطَ اللَّهُ أَعْمَالَهُم. They are the ones, Surah Ahzab verse 19, they are the ones who did not embrace faith. So what did Allah do? أَحْبَطَ أَعْمَالَهُم. Allah destroyed their deeds. It hurts. You've done all these good things, but it's all gone. It's not that Allah, destroys them. No. It won't. What counts is Allah's love and Allah's attention. It won't get Allah's attention. I'll give an example for this. A very not good example. Last verse before I get to that example. مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا, Surah Ghafir, verse 40. مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ يَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةِ. This might be that first verse actually that I recited. Anyway, this part has the end to it. They're the ones who enter Jannah. They have to have Iman as well. Iman plus good actions. Both. What is it like? This is not a very good example. I'm sorry, but I'll just say it. The girl has a diamond ring on her left hand. What does that mean? That means I'm engaged or married or whatever. But she knows that her husband, fiance, his heart is somewhere else, with someone else. So what does she do? She goes and stands by the ocean, on the dock, on the pier, takes it off, and throws it in the water. She's like, don't throw it in the water, it's a diamond ring, at least sell it and use the money for yourself. But for her, it's so important. She doesn't want anything to do with that, she throws it away. Why? Because the heart wasn't there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes you feel like Allah is very sensitive. That's why you have this famous hadith Qudsi, where it goes like this, that Allah says, أَنَا خَيْرُ شَرِيكِ, I am the best partner. Why? What do you mean by I am the best partner? That means if you have someone else next to me, I'll let that person have everything. I don't want it. The action that you did for me and him even, I don't want it. It's all His. I'll give it all to Him. Allah, when it comes to love of Allah, it's very important to understand that He's the only one worthy of love. Just like that girl who throws that diamond ring, if He wants me, everything. I don't even want it if it's 50 me, 50% someone else. The diamond ring represents His love. If His love is somewhere else, diamond ring is gone. I'm not even going to sell it. When it comes to Allah's love, Allah says this is a condition. There's a second condition too that we don't have time for, inshallah. It's a long one though. I'll leave that for tomorrow, inshallah. Inshallah, Allah gives us tawfiq to act upon this knowledge. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa alihi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Sisters, you must have known last year Janab Zainab Salamullah Alaiha's bazaar yesterday, killing 20 people. The Firis have done it again, and let me assure them on behalf of yourself and on my own behalf, these terrorists, that they cannot deter us from defeating them sooner or later. Please recite Alhamd and 3 times Surah Ikhlas for all the marhumin, including the marhumin written on the monument of Zahra, your own marhumin, and don't forget the Maroons for whom there is no one to say Fatiha, and today's sponsors Maroons. Today iftar is sponsored by Brother Yabar and Brother Mr. Musri. For the Bulandi Darjat, please recite a loud salawat. Iqbal bhai, please come and say Azan.
سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله صلى الله على محمد وآله وسلم.